Hello, I'm Sir G, and today we're diving into one of the most controversial policies of the Trump era. A policy that sparked global outrage and legal battles, the travel ban. A policy that, even years later, continues to be debated and dissected. Remember that? The sheer pandemonium that ensued? The executive order that sent airports into chaos, leaving countless individuals stranded and uncertain about their futures, and cable news into a collective meltdown. Every channel was dominated by the unfolding drama. The official line was national security. The justification echoed from the White House press briefings. A phrase used to justify everything from airport shoe removal to banning entire countries. A blanket statement that masked a complex reality. But not all countries were treated equally. Some faced far stricter measures than others. 12 nations, mostly in Africa and the Middle East, bore the brunt of these restrictions, were hit with full travel bans, their citizens facing significant obstacles to entering the United States. And weirdly, not always the ones you'd expect. Some choices seemed to defy logic. Egypt, for example, dodged the list, but we'll get to that later. A curious omission, given its geopolitical significance. So, what made these countries so special in the eyes of the Trump administration? What criteria were used to determine their fate? Today, we're breaking down the official justifications, one country at a time, examining the reasoning behind each inclusion. Was it terrorism? The ever-present specter of global threats? Bad paperwork? A failure to meet administrative standards? Or just a really bad Yelp review at the US Embassy? Perhaps a disgruntled diplomat with a penchant for online reviews? Let's find out. Let's delve into the details and uncover the truth behind the travel ban. Let's start with Afghanistan, a country where government control is more suggestion than reality. The Trump administration cited Taliban control and a lack of a functioning central government. Imagine trying to run a background check when the records office might be in hiding. Afghanistan also had a high rate of visa overstays. In other words, people who made it to the US often didn't leave. Combine all these factors and you've got a country the administration saw as too risky. Afghanistan's chaos and overstays sealed its spot on the list. Next up, we turn our attention to Iran, a nation with a rich history and complex geopolitical relationships. Iran hasn't exactly been America's BFF since the Carter administration, a period marked by significant diplomatic challenges and a shift in the dynamics between the two countries. The Trump administration took a firm stance, labeling Iran a state sponsor of terrorism, a designation that carries significant weight and implications on the global stage. This was largely due to accusations that Iran was actively supporting proxy groups across the Middle East, further destabilizing an already volatile region. If there's a conflict brewing in the region, it seems someone's always pointing a finger at Iran, alleging their involvement in various capacities. Adding to the tension, Iran also refused to cooperate with US security agencies on a number of critical issues, creating a diplomatic standoff. Furthermore, Iran declined to accept deported nationals, a policy that created a unique set of challenges for immigration enforcement. So, if someone from Iran overstayed their visa or otherwise broke the law, there was effectively nowhere for US authorities to send them, leading to a complex legal and logistical problem. It's like inviting someone over to your house, and then they simply refuse to leave regardless of how much you insist. For the Trump administration, this lack of cooperation and the existing tensions were reason enough to justify implementing a travel ban. Somalia has long been described as a terrorist safe haven. The central government controls only small pockets, with militant groups like Al-Shabaab running the rest. Somalia also refused to accept deported nationals. If someone from Somalia overstayed or committed a crime, there was nowhere to send them. Combine this with the lack of government control, and you have a country that, according to the travel ban logic, posed too many risks. The message: until there's an address to send the paperwork to, the doors stay shut. Somalia's instability made it an easy addition. Libya's inclusion is all about chaos and paperwork. Since Gaddafi's fall, rival militias and extremist groups have made tracking people and passports almost impossible. The Trump administration cited serious concerns about the integrity of Libyan passports. If you can't trust the documents, you can't trust the traveler. With terrorist groups running around and a passport system in shambles, Libya was an easy addition. The logic: unreliable documents, unreliable entry. Haiti's spot on the list was less about terrorism and more about migration and crime. After disasters and instability, many Haitians overstayed visas or entered illegally, creating alleged criminal networks. Haiti's weak central authority made deportations difficult. High overstays and shaky government landed Haiti on the list. Chad's inclusion was about one thing: high visa overstays. Chadian citizens arrived in the US and often didn't leave, frustrating officials. The administration accused Chad of ignoring US immigration laws. Sometimes paperwork and overstays are all it takes to make the list. Congo-Brazzaville made the list for one reason: exceptionally high visa overstay rates. No terrorism, no civil war, just people who didn't leave. The Trump administration decided that was enough for a ban. Sometimes a spreadsheet is all it takes. Equatorial Guinea landed on the list for high visa overstay rates. No secret terrorist cells, just too many people missing their flights home. Even small countries had to play by the rules. A statistical blip became a policy problem. Myanmar's inclusion was about high visa overstay rates and refusal to accept deported nationals. If someone broke US immigration laws, there was nowhere to send them. Add a government not known for transparency, and Myanmar ended up on the list. Overstays and lack of cooperation did the trick. Eritrea's issues went beyond overstays. Its passport system was unreliable, and getting a passport could take ages, or connections. Eritrea refused to accept deported nationals and didn't share criminal records with the US. The US was flying blind when vetting travelers. All of this made Eritrea a textbook example for a travel ban. Unreliable documents and silence sealed its fate. Sudan's inclusion was about paperwork specifically, doubts about its ability to issue reliable travel documents. High visa overstay rates only added to the problem. The Trump administration saw unreliable documents and people who didn't go home as a 1-2 punch. Sudan was added to the list for paperwork and process, not terrorism. Sometimes the devil really is in the details. Yemen has become the poster child for chaos. The Trump administration cited lack of government control, civil war, and terrorist activity. The US military has been active in Yemen, targeting terrorist groups. Letting people travel freely from Yemen was seen as too risky. Yemen's headlines and instability made its spot on the list inevitable. 12 countries, each with its own unique story and challenges. 12 stories, woven together by threads of policy and circumstance, all united by a common thread, at least according to the Trump administration's perspective on national security. Whether it was the looming threat of terrorism, the destabilizing effects of civil war, and the humanitarian crises that followed, unreliable paperwork, instances of visa overstays or other immigration-related concerns, the travel ban was consistently justified under the umbrella of national security imperatives. Sometimes the focus was squarely on war and the ever-present threat of terrorism. Other times the justification seemed to hinge on individuals simply not catching their flights home, a far cry from matters of national defense. Immigration law violations, coupled with a perceived lack of cooperation from certain nations, played just as big a role in the decision-making process as any tangible threat of violence or imminent danger. Was the travel ban a necessary precaution, a measured response to legitimate concerns, or did it represent an overreach of executive power? Drop your thoughts and perspectives in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more in-depth breakdowns and analyses. Until next time, this is Sir G, signing off. And remember, always double-check your passport's expiration date before you book that dream vacation.